Hello, and welcome to our not bi-weekly web stream. What the am I like from the 80s?
We really forgot how to do this.
It's been a while. Welcome to our web stream. We are on the internets, and we are bringing this to you live. It is unprecedented, and no one's ever done it before. Hi, my name is Matt. With me is Julian, and HB, and Mark, and Devstream number 101. How are you guys doing?
Excited. I haven't done this in so long.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get back to not quite what we used to do, but hopefully a bit more frequent than what.
Yeah, don't promise anything that we don't know if we can.
Starting out with a lie. What is it?
We are trying to time these with our updates, and the last two update cycles have stretched out a bit longer than we expected, partly because the war was longer, and then we decided to make adjustments in what we're going to include and what we're not going to include in the updates, and it's just been a bit of juggling around. So, but I think you know what? I'm going to risk it, HB. I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to not promise, but have a goal to do these about once a month or maybe a bit longer, right? So.
Yeah, right now, so once a month to once a year, around that time.
Whenever we feel.
Yeah.
We promise we'll do it whenever we feel like it.
Yeah, okay. I didn't risk anything at all. We just totally backtracked on that, by the way. So,
so just an update on some format. The slight format change. There will be a Q&A at the end of the stream, but we did take some questions from Reddit that was posted at the day before the stream. So I'll go into more detail about that when we get there. But so just for everyone, there's still going to be live Q&A because obviously you're going to have questions about what we announce. So, but we'll come back to that.
Actually, do you mind if I add something to that? It's something we're trying out. So
yeah, I actually do mind, Mark. No is the answer. Sorry, go ahead.
It's something we are trying out, so it might not be something that stays. We just wanted to give an opportunity for people who aren't able to make the stream to ask questions as well, but we'll see how it works out.
Yeah. So far so good. It seems to have been a successful thread. Anyhow, Mark, tell us what is next for Foxhole.
Another 2 wars of endless snow that everyone loves.
Listen, you guys wanted endless. You know how many pings I get about people wanting endless snow, and now you got snow. So
you got what you wanted. Get pings about endless snow?
Yes.
I don't know about that, Matt.
100%. I do. I have receipts.
No, but we're going to be talking about update 44 today, which is for people that haven't been with us. We do regular size updates, which are roughly once a month. They've been longer than that recently, but that's kind of the goal. And then we have the large updates, which happen much less frequently. Those are about twice a year right now, as of now. So update 44 is a regular update, so it's not huge. It's not going to like change the world or anything like that. But there's a couple of neat things that we have to show with regards to that. So, and another thing we're trying to do right now is for the regular updates, we're trying to roll out the dev branch as soon as possible after we do these streams. That's one of the reasons why we kind of wanted to time with the update, so we can talk about the update and then you can go on the dev stream on the same day and try things out for yourself. So we're going to try to roll out the dev branch later this afternoon.
Cool. All right, let's move on. Let's start things off with some community highlights. It's been a while.
It's been so long.
I don't know how many there are, but
it's not that much. For the people that were complaining that we're going to spend 3 hours doing this, it's only going to be 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that community highlights is back. We for the people that don't know, we have a huge community that does some really cool stuff like illustrations and videos and essays. And we do a blog post, God knows when that we try to compile them, and then we just like try to highlight a couple of these really, really cool stuff that are done on the dev stream. So the first one that we have today is by Kent Lucky. I think we're gonna see a bunch of snow for some reason. I have no idea why. We're gonna see a bunch of snow. I really like this one. It really takes the
It's
like a
fantastic.
completely.
It's fantastic.
It's really well done. I love the composition. I think that like it takes the concept of like getting snow and like puts in a new path. It kind of reminds me. The background reminds me of some animation, like these trees with the harsh colors. I'm trying to remember what is it. I think might be the Misadventures of Juniper Lee or something like that, like some cartoon, Cartoon Network.
No, it's
style.
very, very Cartoon Network stylized. It's like kind
Yeah.
of Samurai Jack, kind of like.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a little bit less bold than Samurai Jack, but definitely something around there, like Imaginary Friends or something like that. Anyway, I think it's an awesome style. Really love the composition. I like that it captures. I said it time and time again. I love when like illustrations catch like small moments that are not necessarily combat, but they're very Foxhole like. This one is pretty cool. Like the wardens like just heating themselves up, and then the colonials trying to sneak behind them.
Well, it looks.
Love it.
It looks like the colonials are freezing to death and jealous of the wardens with their nice campfire.
It reminds
With
me.
their powerful fire.
It reminds me of that like concept video that I made as part of the art prototype, where there's like a guy walking through the woods and he just comes across a couple soldiers.
Yeah, for sure. I think we saw that one in the latest Devstream, in the last Devstream.
I think we might have, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this
Okay.
reminds me of.
This reminds me. There's a game out there called Project Winter on Steam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the
So
art
good.
for that, this reminds. Well, first of all, that game I haven't played it, but
It's awesome. Oh, if you can play with a group of friends.
yeah, I've
so
heard
good.
really great things about it. It sounds like a really innovative. Let's just give them a plug right now. Go
Yeah,
check out
that's-
Project Winter. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Totally
No, I
agree.
haven't played it personally. So, but I have it on my wish list, and it's I've always I've gone to their site several times, and the art this just kind of reminds me of that. The other thing I want to say is some of these they look like they're wearing special uniforms, which I think is kind of cool because everyone's been waiting for us to implement uniforms into the game. So, anyways,
The one thing I have to say is the fire.
I didn't want to touch on it because it's not a critique. So
The fire. Kent Lucky. I want to see a fire in the style of all the cool shit that you have.
You are way
around it.
harsher than I am.
harsh man, harsh.
Yeah.
No, it looks awesome.
Yeah, we have another really
This is awesome,
amazing
man.
illustration by Emothek. I think that's how it's pronounced, so I apologize if I butchered. It's like just the level of detail is bloody insane. It's, I mean, enough said. Like, look at
Yeah,
the
just
quality.
look at
Like, yeah. Really good use of perspective, of atmospheric perspective. Really good use of composition and lines of action. So, man, really, really well done. Really good use of color and point of and focus, and really well done. I know you can only really see in one character, like this one colonial soldier on the very front. Really well done facial expression. It's not easy to do like top down, like 3/4 in perspective faces. Like not a lot of people can do it, and it's really well done. So my congratulations, like genuinely great job.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. And like I said, it speaks for itself. So
Like
I
too
know.
much work went into this.
I know, right?
What's that red flag in the middle?
it's the third faction. We haven't
The third
announced
faction.
it yet. We haven't announced it yet. So.
It's coming
Probably
later
a
today.
clan.
Don't worry.
All right, I'm gonna
Yeah,
move
it's
on.
really cool.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
the scope of this. It's just amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
These are really cool. These I also like these ones. Guys know I love stylized style. These kind of like it's a mixture of like Warhammer and chibi, like merged together.
Mhm.
Like they have the darkness and the greenness of like a Warhammer like concept art in the Foxhole universe, but with the proportions and like the cuteness of a chibi character. So I really like it. Really well done.
Actually, you know what's funny? Oh, sorry.
Somehow making war cute is what it's
I know.
Hey Matt, remember how last week we were just for the sake of fun brainstorming, we were talking about that if we were to ever make a turn-based strategy game based in Foxhole universe, and you were saying, hey, maybe it should be kind of stylized. This kind of jumps into my mind on how that could work. Right?
Yeah, no, totally.
Like maybe not like the specific designs of the uniforms here, but just sort of that level of like
the stylization, especially if you're thinking about it from like an overhead view with like perpetually like walking like sprites or whatever inside. They'd be perfect for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. These ones are really cool. This person definitely also seen the concept art that Julian does, and if not for the different style of like how characters and vehicles are rendered, the mood and the palette for sure, and the way they were working with light and darkness could easily be one of Julian's design concepts.
This is like what I would be doing if from the beginning we wanted as many action shots as we could get. If instead of doing the like, it will get shots of like what the countryside is like and what people are doing outside of combat, and it's not all about like if it was all about pure combat, all my art, it would be stuff like this, and I love this. I especially love the scale change in the first image of the gunboat. Like if the gunboat was a kind of full-sized ship compared to like the landing craft and stuff, like I don't know, that's badass. That's really cool.
I like the use of storm cannon in the last one as well. It's like I know what it is. Like it's a storm cannon.
I actually hope that one day we can have some ships in the game that have that kind of scale. I think that would be really cool, right?
Absolutely, absolutely amazing work.
Yep.
So congratulations. This is a bunch of really cool stuff. First of all, of course, I'm gonna actually start from the right side. I love Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together. Just amazing rendition of Foxhole in a different style. Of course, there's also The Symptoms by the same person, Red Donut.
Fun fact: I think Don't Starve is like an excellent game, but the art style and like the sound design like literally makes my skin crawl, and I can't look at it. It's very weird.
I know, right? It's again another game that if you never played, give it a shot with friends. Game. Really good game. Awesome concept by a median on the top there. I never this is so well painted and detailed and rendered that it's quite amazing.
Looks like it's from an RTS.
Yeah, quite surprised. Just look like a badass tank. And on the left, one of my favorite things that I saw recently was this discussion, this conspiracy that Stardew Valley and Foxhole are in the same universe, and these are the reasoning behind it. And I couldn't love it more because Stardew Valley is just like I love this game. I'm not. People are just like. Can we change community highlights to like
insane conspiracy theories?
Concerned Ape is my dad, actually.
It is your dad. Oh, good for you. Never met your dad before.
All right.
So yeah, no, it's really cool. There's way more stuff like that in the community highlights. In the community blog post that KFC does. So there's way more written form and music and video form as well. So it's not just illustration. And there's so much, and we haven't done this in a while. There's so much that we couldn't pack in this time. Go to the next one.
Yeah,
Mark?
I just want to point out that, like as you said, we actually haven't been doing those posts for a while, so it's like, we're gonna see if it is something that we can bring back in the future. But right now, it's sort of an on hold thing, just
Mhm.
because we've talked about it several times. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is another thing that it's cool for the community as well. Just happened since the last dev stream. War 75 were at the same time the longest war in Foxhole, the war that has the most amount of rockets, and the war that has the highest casualties ever. So, like, quite impressive. And on 73, we have the highest ever concurrent users we ever had. So that's just amazing all in all, as a community is just baffling that people are coming together and doing this. And another cool stuff for first time in a while, this was the first ever anime free community highlight, so you guys are welcome.
Is that a good thing though?
I don't agree with that last one.
Are you sure that that's not the saddest point in the entire company's history?
It's also not true. There was
there was no anime.
There was 100%. No, I refuse to allow you to take this accolade.
Hey, Mark, next one.
Okay. Oh, there's more. Okay.
Yeah, there's more.
I told you.
I'm fucking kidding. Matt, why you have to undermine all
I didn't even know this, and I knew it.
That's why you have to look at the slides beforehand.
No, it ruins the surprise.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, of course there's anime in this one because we couldn't resist. A lot
There's
of cool
just
artists.
so much of it.
Yeah, a lot of cool artists are coming about, and yeah, so there's amazing artists that are coming back. Amazing artists that are new to the Foxhole. Like, we have people that retired, people that are just showing up, popping up as like new beasts in the art dream, in the art field of Foxhole. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for everybody that continues to do art, including anime, because I will never stop posting those.
Especially the anime.
Especially the anime. I actually like more stuff than anime, but sure, let's go that way.
The one on the far right.
I really want to bring up the Marauders one.
Yeah,
I've seen other stuff. That one is particularly cool because I think the composition is cool. Like just the quality of the drawing in an anime is like on point, very on point, and the concept as a character concept, like the idea of having like the helmet and the balaclava underneath it with the armor. It's just superb.
It looks like armored World War II Vegeta.
Yeah. hey, Julian, you remember when we were talking about all the big companies making a hero shooter? When we make the Foxhole hero shooter, that can be a character.
that he'll be that guy. He'll be an
armored Vegeta
in the armored Vegeta in the Foxhole hero shooter.
All right. I think that's it, right?
I think this is it now.
That's it.
Now it's for the actual development. So thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for that posted. Please continue posting your stuff, making art, making videos as well. We actually do watch the videos. We read the stuff. There's so much that we don't have enough time to like comment on everything. But yeah, we do watch a lot of it. We see a lot of what the community does, and it's always amazing.
So update 44 was just the announcement that we're bringing back community highlights and anime, right? And there's nothing. We didn't do anything for the last month. We didn't actually do any work. So
yeah, we'll see you guys in a few months.
Yeah, we stared into anime girls.
All right.
And boys.
Enough of this nonsense. Before we get into update 44, wanted to
comment on the anime of previous. I know.
So, want to give some news about, because a lot of people have been wondering about Summer Update and Foxhole 1.0. So we are basically going to be taking the work that we wanted to do for Foxhole 1.0, and we're splitting it up into 2 updates. So if you remember from the last couple of streams, or the plan from the beginning of the year was to do the summer update and have 1.0 tied to that. Not so big of a surprise, but there was too much work to be done. We want to touch on some of the base building stuff. There was a bunch of other big features that you guys are anticipating that we want to be in there, and we want to take more time to make sure that we can accomplish our goals with those features properly. So we're gonna have a couple of more regular updates in the coming months, and then later this summer we're gonna do the next big update, which will be the summer update, and yeah, that's going to be the next big thing to look forward to. And then after that, the other half of the 1.0 features will come in the winter update. So things are being pushed back a bit, but I get the feeling that this wasn't entirely unexpected news, just because this whole year has just been kind of slowly shifting, due to starting with the winter update taking a bit longer than expected at the beginning of this year. Like I'm talking about the last winter update, and then we had a big player surge. We had to spend a lot of time in building out or working on proper support for multiple shards, and supporting not just multiple shards, but supporting a larger player base. So there was a lot of work in the background to get that working, and everything just slowly kept shifting. So this is a new plan, but as always, the scheduling in game development is can be highly turbulent. So all this is obviously subject to change. And another thing that we had talked about extensively on the last stream, I won't get into this too far, but we are going to be doing a price change before 1.0. This is not going to impact anyone that has the game now. If you have the game now, you'll be fine. And in the next couple of months, you'll be fine too. So if for some reason you're watching a stream and you haven't gotten the game yet and you're planning to get it, you still have a couple of months. So we just wanted to give everyone as far of a heads up as possible. And we basically wanted to, the reason for this is we, have plans to support the game for many years to come, even after 1.0. And we also want to stick to our no microtransaction policy. And this is kind of our way to just keep things fair and simple, while being able to continue support development of the game. So that's a couple of things on the list of news items. Now moving on to the actual update. So first up, I do want to talk about this. So there are going to be a couple of vehicles that we're going to be talking about in that are coming in update 44, and this is the first of them. And it's basically a 30 millimeter tankette, and the Ixion. That class is incorrect. It's a tankette. So apologies for that.
It wants to be an assault tank.
It wants to be an assault tank,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It'll grow up someday.
When it's a big tank.
Yeah. So our reasoning for this is we did want to introduce a more early game anti-structure options for the Colonial side, because right now they have the RPG utility vehicle, which is kind of like the only thing that's there. So we wanted there to be another option there. It'll probably be like a little bit further down, but this will be definitely an earlier game vehicle. So sort of the pool of anti-structure options there is the ISG, the RPG utility vehicle, and this. So I don't know, Julian, if there's anything you want to comment on for this one.
There was a fun internal debate over whether or not they should be open-topped or closed-topped at one point, and we eventually went with closed-topped because, from my perspective, it made it more visually different than the other tankette, but everyone had their own opinion, so...
Some people walked away sad.
Yeah, some people... Yeah.
Yeah. And there's actually a cool feature that this has that I actually want to talk about
Oh, yeah.
The scout tank first, and then maybe we'll talk about that.
Spoilers.
But I already spoiled it here. So, so the I got the class right for this one, scout tank, right? So the King Gallant Mark II. This is fulfilling the role that you kind of heard me. I talked about this on press corps, and I think I talked about it on a previous stream. And we've also gotten a lot of feedback on this one, which is that the wardens are lacking anti-structure options in the mid game. And we did see this, like at they were using the scout tank previously during times of war when the other side had more anti-structure options at that sort of in the right before tanks unlock, the days before that. We just want to give the warden some another anti-tank option, so that's why this one comes in here. And I do want to point out that both the tankette and this have more health than than their other counterparts, right? So they are more durable as
Beefy.
well. Yeah, and maybe Julian, you can talk about that neat feature that.
Oh,
these two
yeah.
have.
Well, first I want to point out, I just noticed it because I hadn't seen this slide beforehand, but this is actually a bad render of this vehicle. We have a new 3D modeler, Glenn, and this was, I think it was his first or second vehicle that he did. And the first render that he did of it, it's kind of clipping into the ground plane a little bit. So the tank tread, if you look at the bottom of the tank tread, it's kind of cut off. But that's a harmless mistake. Anyways, the cool thing is that the command on the original scout tank, the commander hatch was a 2-person seat, but it didn't make any sense because 2 people couldn't fit in there. And we knew we were going to support 1-man turrets that the commander can operate both function. So when you're out of the hatch, you have the commander function. You can use your binos and second slot items. Then when you're in the hatch, you now become the gunner of these smaller vehicles that have, like, it's clearly visible that only 1 person should be in there. And this is, for me, this is super exciting because it means I can apply this to like tons of future vehicles and whatnot. But it plays really cool when you're driving around in the game too. And both this tank, the existing scout tank, and the tankette you just saw, the closed top tankette, all have this new feature in it.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
was
really
actually. Oh, sorry, go on.
That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I got messages about this with the existing scout tank, which means you guys were definitely nitpicking about this too. Like, people were messaging me like, how the heck can like 2 people fit in the turret? Right?
Yep.
So
No,
I'm
that was
glad
one of the features that, like, I remember you and I talked to Phil about it, and Phil was super excited to start doing it, like to get work on it, and we have finally found time to work on it, and now it all, everything that it should have been, the original scout tank, is it feels correct, and it's great.
I think we talked about other cool applications of this in the
Oh, yeah.
future. Like if we were to put it, say, on like a gunboat or something like that, where you can kind of be in like a double role, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that feature has a lot of future implications that we're excited for.
Great. All right, the smelter heavy field gun. So this is, there's a bit of history here. So one of our goals lately have been to address some of the issues that we've been seeing in the end game. We got a lot of feedback in the last war about the tank spam. So one of our goals that we're working towards is to have field guns help in breaking up some of the meta that we're seeing right now with the tanks. And the goal we're trying to reach is we want field guns to be more effective against tanks and other armored vehicles. We want tanks to be effective again, infantry and an infantry to be effective against these field guns. So push a little bit more into a rock paper scissors dynamic there. And to help with this goal, we are not only making some changes to all the field guns, which we're going to talk about in a moment, but we're going to be introducing some new field gun variants, right? So this is one of the ones that we're going to be adding in, and this is a heavy 68 millimeter gun, and this there is a bullet point missing here, but this does do 45 meter range. So it will be highly effective, and we're going to show it off in a live demo later, which you'll be able to see. Yeah. And then on the other spectrum of that is the Rampart 40 millimeter. So this is the heavy version of the 40 millimeter field gun on the Warden side. And again, this is also a 45 meter range gun. And this, so the previous gun you can look at as a counter to like a heavy tank destroyer, right? To the Widow or to a Silverhand, and this gun here would do the same for Falchions and Spathas, right? But because again, I want to point this out again, because they're field guns, they're not just more powerful than the other side, and that's the thing you can make. They're going to be vulnerable to infantry as they are now, right? And both this and the last gun are high velocity, so they do deal lots of extra damage. So, and to complement those changes, there's a bunch of other changes that are coming. And again, we're trying to reach that rock paper scissors type of balance with these guns. So all field weapons are actually going to receive some changes here to help with this. So besides, this doesn't include the field artillery, but the other field guns will get a significant increase in health, significantly faster reload times, and this point here makes actually a huge difference. So I believe their reload time has been reduced by 2 and I think roughly 2.5 seconds, or between 2 and 3 seconds, depending on the variant. And then they're also going to get a mass production bonus, right? So when you produce these at a mass production factory, they're going to be produced in crates of 5 now. So you'll get a discount, and they'll just be more available in general to be used again to counter tanks, especially in the end game. So I'm just going to pause there and take a sip of water. Besides that, there are other changes that I'm going to fire off really quickly because it's not just new vehicles that we're working on. Garrison houses now depend on base upgrade instead of the tech tree. So right now in the game, as you know, this has always been really awkward in my mind. There was a reason why it was done this way at the very beginning with the old tech tree system, but we just sort of ported it over and never changed it until now. But basically, garrison houses, you don't have to wait until some arbitrary point in the tech tree is reached before you know how to fortify your houses, which never quite made sense. Now it's tied to an actual upgrade at the town hall itself, right? So if you capture a town hall and you upgrade to a certain point, then you can build the garrison houses there. Deploying explosive now preserves your previous stance. So this was one of those minor annoyances that if you deployed a weapon like a satchel previously, it would, and certain other weapons, it would force you into a certain stance afterwards. So now it will always preserve your existing stance. So if you're crouched, you return crouch. If you're standing, you return standing. And that just gives you a little bit more control than before, right? This was Julian. Do you want to talk about this one?
Oh yeah. I actually didn't know we were doing this for this update. But
Actually,
basically,
I think it's for this update.
all
Maybe there's a mix-up here, but why don't you talk about it anyways, right?
right.
I could have mixed this one up, but
I will
yeah,
start. I will preface it with if it's coming in this update. Basically, we are making some changes to the light machine gun. The infantry light machine gun that we kind of previewed in one of the dev branches, which was switching its ammo type. This created some inconsistencies with the light machine guns that are on vehicles. So basically, we have altered the models on the vehicles so that their two sets of guns are different. This is also to work around something that everyone, like lots of people in the community, pointed out, that the Warden Scout vehicle, the Spitfire, had a Colonial machine gun on top of it. And this was we designed those before we did faction-specific weapons. So it was like a legacy thing that they were just stuck, and we wanted to also kind of iron that little wrinkle out of the game. So we've updated the model of machine gun on a few of the vehicles in the game to accommodate those those changes. Ironing everything out before 1.0.
great. This change we already talked about, unifying seats for commander and gunner for certain smaller armored vehicles. Player screen improvements. So we've improved performance on the screen, and there's actually some layout improvements because we got a lot of feedback on this. That the regiment tag on the players made it really hard to parse through all the players in the list. So now that has been moved to a separate column in the list that can be used for sorting as well. So hopefully that should make the player list, this is specifically the region player list, a bit more bearable. And there's a bunch of other miscellaneous changes here. So obviously we have spent a lot of time in fixing a lot of bugs in this pass because we did have some extended time to work on this update. Steam sockets, we're going to be doing another test of this. So this is basically upgrading to Steam's more or other more recent networking system that is designed to improve things like network latency on average. We did test this twice in the dev branch before in the past. So we're going to give it another go because we have fixed a few more issues in the integration. And we've also, we know that Valve has made a lot of fixes in the last couple of months there too. So we're going to give it another go and we're going to see how well it's working. And then global profile. So this is more of a future thing. In the future, if we do move to multiple shards, things like XP and rank is just going to be synced across all the shards. So there won't be this whole shard merger step that is necessary, like what we have to do now. Crash recovery system. So this is a feature where it's to so first of all, we obviously don't ever want any crashes on the server, right? This is not something that we like to aim for, and ideally, it's stable for as much time as it can be. But inevitably, there are going to be times when a bug is introduced or there is some other instability that happens that might cause a server to crash. So right now, if that happens, it can cause a lot of chaos. But we've implemented a system that helps players better recover their vehicles and other things in this event, and it also allows players to have a fairer start. So if a rare event like this does happen, players will be able to be sent back to their previous location, and it will also have a countdown, of several minutes. So players have several minutes to get back into the game, and they're not able to actually perform any actions until everybody's back in, and sort of this several minute countdown is up, and everybody can kind of have a fair start, right? It's kind of like the way I like to think of it. It's kind of like in an MMA match when two of the fighters are like grappling on the ground and the referee has to stop the match for some reason. When they restart again, they got to make sure that everyone is back in the same position again before they start. So it's kind of similar to that. And the other thing is that we also have spent a bunch of time in the last month or two in refactoring. So we've talked about this spring cleaning in quotes type of refactoring in the past couple of years, and it's just basically because Foxhole is a long-lived game and we've been working on it for many years and we plan to work on it for many years to come. We got to make sure that we go back once in a while and refactor our code, which basically means let's do a cleanup on certain systems to make sure that they are maintainable over time, and to mitigate things like future bugs and things of that sort. So, and that's kind of it for this update, but I do want to switch over now, and hopefully this will not blow up in my face. Okay, there we go. So yeah, here's the two new vehicles that we'll show very quickly, and we can demonstrate that the
What
unified.
how do we demonstrate?
Well, just basically, you can shoot it. So
Reloading.
previously, the gunner and the tank commander were two separate roles, but now is the same role, and you press E to switch between the two, right? So in the same way, player is able to duck into this scout tank, and they're able to play as the gunner, and then they're able to get back out. So that is that. So if you want to, we can show off the.
Well, here's the new field guns next to their kind of counterpart. So here's your 68 millimeter Colonial. Here's the new high velocity 68 millimeter Colonial. And then same deal with the 40 millimeter Warden one and the new high velocity 40 millimeter Warden one.
Cool. Do you want to go over to the tanks over there and we can?
Yep. And yeah.
Demonstrate their current form. And just as a disclaimer, the balance does change as we test things out in the dev branch. So what you see here might not be exactly what you see.
Which tanks does the community want me to shoot? What's the
what's the vote?
Yeah,
my vote is the tank destroyer because that's what it'll actually be shooting. Yeah. Bounce. That was the second hit, right?
Yep.
Bounce.
Disabled.
Yeah. Disabled after third. I think that was the third penetration.
There you go.
Yeah.
So 2 bounces, 4 hits, and it was disabled on the third hit.
Yeah, cool. Let's switch over here to this guy. Take out the Spatha. Check it over there. Bounce.
Is it disabled?
First penetration, I think. Second penetration. Bounce. RNG gods are not with us.
There we go.
Tank
That was
disabled.
about 5 shot disabled.
3 penetrations. Yeah.
So about 6 hits. From, again, that's a 40 millimeter and 68, so they're not 2 68s.
Yes, and also keep in mind that the ranges on these are 45 meters. So, but I should also point out, because players they just love pointing out this fact to me. It's 45 meters, but because it's 45 meters from the tip, it's actually even further. So there is that as well. And I think that is the majority of what we wanted to show here. So we can move on to Q&A, but we can stay in here and just kind of stay in the live demo while we do this, at least for a while.
Sure, that sounds fine to me. Start asking your questions in the chat related to the stuff that we just showed and the update. But I'll ask a question, and I'm going to ask probably the most asked question in this is coming from the Reddit thread. And this is an amalgam of all these questions, but I'm going to give the credit to Meow General. How are we feeling about the balance of the game currently, and do we intend to add content to further balance the game?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, some of the vehicles that we're introducing up Milestone 44 is a step, right? I think that the end game has a lot. There is a lot more content that we do need to add there, and one of the things we're trying to address is not only balance, but making sure that there are decent choices for both sides in at all stages of the war. So if there is sort of a part that we feel is missing, is that certain parts of the tech tree, we don't want it to be like the exact choice available on each side, but we do want there to be choices, right? And viable choices at the early, the mid, the end. So that's the thing that we're currently chipping at, right? So this is a part of that equation, but there is definitely still a lot more to come before we feel like, hey, at all stages of the war, they're viable things that there's viable choices there, right? So
I just thought of something that we overlooked that's kind of relevant to new content. This variant of the Scout tank obviously does not have the radio on, like there's no radio visible on it because it doesn't have the intel functionality that the other Scout tank does.
Yeah. Actually, would you be able to spawn one of the other ones? Because there are other mesh differences, and also spawn a tankette, because I personally think it's cool to look at the differences because it could be lost.
I just have to say, the new the King Gallant looks really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
There's something about it that looks really the lighting is hitting it nicely. So this question comes from Torrento. Do the high velocity field guns have the same modifier as the tank counterparts?
Yeah,
they have their own. They have their own modifier values, and they are quite high. So you'll be able to see the values in the dev branch, but they are quite. I believe they're quite high. So more along the lines of what you see with the heavy tank destroyer. But you'll see the. Hopefully, we'll get the dev branch out within the next couple of hours, and you guys will be able to see those plays yourself. So.
From Reddit, Lord Basil asks, what is the future of Foxhole going to be? Will new content still be developed, even if there is a hypothetical Foxhole 2? Basically, how long is Foxhole going to be supported?
Man, you're throwing me easy questions here, Matt, which is great. Don't stop. Just give me easy ones. Yeah, we're going to support Foxhole for a very long time, and I think you've heard us harp on this for a while. And to us, like, 1.0 isn't some inflection point where we feel like the game's done. There's going to be a big change. I won't get into it too far because I talk about this topic too much. But basically, we have a lot. We're going to be working on the game, obviously, for many years to come, and there's still like some really cool big things that are going to come after 1.0, and we're really just super excited because there's such a it would be different if we felt like if we reach a point where we feel like, man, there's no more cool things, and we start adding in weird, like, let's just add in some weird things just to try to artificially extend the game, maybe we would start thinking otherwise. But I think as of now, at least, it's the opposite. There's just a lot of cool ways to expand these persistent wars. If you just think about World War II, there's just all these, the feeling I want is like, you're on one side of the war, and you could be, in a tank battle, and that tank battle is important. But on the other side of the war, on the other side of the world, people are trying to fire off a rocket, and then on the other, and even on some other side of the world, there's like a naval battle happening, and all these things are all working together in the same war, right? So there's still so much there to explore, and I think that there's just kind of no shortage of exciting things.
Chad is misbehaving, so I'm not going to answer any of their questions. What Doof? I don't really know how to pronounce this name. From Reddit asks, what are your thoughts about how the game currently incentivizes players joining more organized groups? Do you feel the game offers enough tools to push players out of those negative stereotypes associated with solo players?
I won't. I don't know about the negative stereotypes, so I won't really comment on that. But I think
in the question, they did go a little bit deeper, and basically, it's just like if you're not part of like an organized group, there seems to be a stigma in the community that the player is not going to be helpful. So that was kind of part of the question.
Gotcha. I do feel that there is more work to be done. I think that for a game like Foxhole, that's all about working together. There's I think there's just always going to be this feeling like there could be more improvements we can make to systems like regiments and squads. So there's definitely more work to be done there, and I think that regiments was the last big feature that we worked on, and we tend to work on things in passes. So I think at some point we're going to come back around and take a look at that. Take a look at those systems again. It's not to say we won't make small changes in the meantime and tweaks, but I definitely think that improvements need to be made there. It's always, it's one of those things. It's one of those things, Matt, that like it's almost like it can never be good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's yeah.
Okay, that's it's a good answer. So chat is still being ridiculous. So Golf Baller 17 asks, with the launch of 1.0 scheduled this year, which obviously we did talk about, what features and mechanics that are not currently in the game are we prioritizing for those releases, and what are you excited about?
Yeah.
Do battle tanks currently count as not being in the game? Is that can we factor that in?
Yeah, I mean, like, we tend to like to talk about features when we talk about what's going into these updates when it's closer time to actually release them, because we don't want to spend all day talking about things and not actually having them there in action. So, but we do want to touch on do at least some work on the base building side of things. So that is something that's I think that's one thing that we can kind of expect us to at least to take a look at. Yeah.
Another question on Reddit that was really, really coming up in multiple ways was basically, what are our feelings on the current tank combat / armor system? What do we feel needs improvement? What do you think is working?
We talked about this actually this week, right, Mark? Like Yumi and Max were talking about how we want armor to feel like more impact, to have more of a role.
Yeah.
Armor, the differences between armor and health is something we want to improve on, basically, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we feel that, I don't have, actually, you kind of said it all, Julian. Yeah, it's we do want to take another look at it, and we feel that armor should play a more important role. And I feel like when we introduce the angle range bonuses, armor just kind of got a little bit of a nerf, a bit too much of a nerf as a result of that. And we would like to make armor count for more in the future. So I agree. Like, and then besides that, we already talked about the the tank meta in the end game, we really, you know, our next goal is really to try to make it more interesting there and make it not just about, you know, let's just choose what is deemed as the best tank and spam as many of them as we can. Which, to be fair, is a little bit of an issue at the moment. So
Slow down, you're going too fast.
yeah. Well, there we have a speed question answer there. Yeah. I think, Matt, we probably have time for one, maybe maximum two more.
Sure. There was one question in here that I wanted to ask in the chat that I kind of lost. I'm sorry, I can't remember who asked. But basically, they were asking, will the Wardens get a tool somewhat like the Hydra, Hydra's Whisper, which is currently a very specialized tool?
I think I can address this in that the last big update we had was the Assault update. Like, we themed it around Assault, right? Which was assault weapons and more tools for the infantry to use. And there's a lot more guns, tools, and infantry related like kit coming down the pipe. So yes. The answer is yes.
Cool. Let's ask one more. A lot of people I saw asking questions about what's the status of the building update. Is that something that we're ready to talk about? Just kind of like touch on that, because that came up a whole lot. A lot of people asking about, like, changes to building updates, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. So, sorry.
I was gonna say, I have a quick answer for my point. Is that I'm like deep in on concepting all that stuff right now. So like, yeah, that's from the visual standpoint, I'm working on it.
Yeah. So it's definitely something we're working on, and if you look at some of our roadmaps from earlier this year, we kind of wanted to do an update on base building, and then we want to do a summer update, and that ended up, I think we've kind of pushed some of that to the new schedule of the summer update. So we've gone, I talked about this on press for last time, but we've gotten a lot of great feedback about the base building system and things like bunkers. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that we're working on.
Cool. There's also a lot of questions just around the choices around the features for these 4 new vehicles that we've added. I sort of just want to say, like, one of the reasons why I'm not answering questions around like the balance of these vehicles is because, like, get them in your hands first. Like, it's kind of one of those things that happens like every time we introduce something new. Everybody freaks out, but like actually like use them first before you freak out. You probably, hopefully, will change your mind on it.
And as a reminder, the dev branch is coming out later today, so they'll be playing with them later today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So just if you're wondering why I'm not answering questions about that, the last question I'll ask, and then this will be the last one.
And I want to add something to that.
Sure,
that these things change in the dev branch, and I think like that's something that a lot of times dev branch comes out, and so much focus is on at the beginning of the dev branch, and it's been a bit tough because we like to use dev branch for feedback, but it's kind of like we get the most rush of people who come at the beginning and they kind of draw conclusions, and they don't realize that changes get made, right? So it should almost be like, you should come at the end of the dev branch, not the beginning, right?
Yeah, and then also stuff continues to be balanced even past that branch. Like, it's yeah. Anyhow, the last question that I'll ask, just because it came up, it also came up in Reddit, but I actually didn't like write it down, but I've seen it enough here that people are wondering when cross-team voice chat is coming back. I know we've addressed that in the past, but it seems to be a common enough question that maybe we should just address it again.
Yeah, so I think probably not for a while, because again, like with the current player numbers, we just have to. This is a technical limitation of the voice platform that we're using, which is Vivox. So it's there is a 200 user per server limit on there, and we've optimized prior in the past. There's never been an update because we never had like more than 200 players per region. But because of the optimizations we made over the last year, we are able to have more than 200 players. So when it goes over that limit, we start seeing problems, which is why we had to turn this off. So the options are, okay, completely re-implement the voice system, which right now is kind of difficult. Like, it's not something we can really fit in the schedule. Or the other option is don't support more than 200 players in a region, and that seems like also a pretty bad option, right? So it's like, of, and then the third option is now just kind of switch that off for now. And I think of those three options, at least to me, seems like, obviously we don't want to just have less players in a region because that's just kind of bad. It's just more queues and like the battles won't be as big and all that stuff. So it just seems like, I also don't want to go off and spend like a whole bunch of our development bandwidth on implementing a new voice system because all the other stuff like is going to get pushed back. So it seems like this option is not ideal, but it's probably going to be the one that stays for the foreseeable future. So, but it's not a problem we're gonna settle with forever. It's just something for now, right?
So there are plans to address it, but they are not in the pipeline at this moment because of
we would like to address
it was unexpected.
Yeah, and it's not in the pipeline, but it's something we would like to do.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for who behaved, and thanks everybody for coming out and watching us. And hopefully, you guys can get your hands on this soon with the new dev branch that's going to go out today? ?
That's what we're shooting for.
So that's going to go out today. HB, take us out.
Yes, thank you very much for everybody that showed up. Thank you everybody for the questions, regardless if they were spam or not. We do appreciate you having questions. So thank you everybody for sending everything for the community highlights and making new things. Hopefully you get a chance to actually play with these new vehicles and weapons on the dev branch coming up.
Oh, also, thank you to everybody who asked questions on Reddit.
Yes. Send your feedback and then double check as well, because we do make, throughout the dev branch, we make changes. So just if something is not working or if you find something completely broken at the beginning of that branch, just send your feedback. Matt is right. Thank you everybody for send questions on Reddit. Minibar, I didn't answer your question because I completely missed it. So next time, put it on the Reddit so we can read it beforehand. I think it worked well for us to have the questions on Reddit so we can pull them up. Once again, we're never going to be able to answer all the questions, and sometimes people have questions that we choose not to answer, not because we're being coy or because we don't want to answer because they're hard questions. No, because we don't want to maybe talk about a certain vehicle or another because we might have plans for things like that, and we don't want to spoil plans. We don't want to, we choose what questions we answer for a reason.
Coy.
Actually, I don't.
We don't mind hard questions. I just want to. We don't mind hard questions. Yeah, but just so you know, if they're asked in an antagonistic way, we're not going to answer them, even if they're nice questions, because you know what? Who has time for salt? So yeah, please bring the harder questions, well-formulated questions, not like a text of this size. We won't have time to read it either on chat or on Reddit. Shorten them up, make them concise, upvote them on Reddit. It seems to have worked. There were a couple questions that we saw that there was a lot of upvotes on Reddit, and we answered those.
I will go from the top to bottom in terms of
so upvote them on Reddit. Hopefully that is a very good indication that it's not just chat spam. Is actually a lot of people want to know about this. So hopefully we'll be able to continue doing part of this as well, like having some of them on Reddit. So thank you very much for everybody that joined in this experiment. And we'll see each other again in about a month if Mark's promise holds up. I don't know.
Promise? That's a strong word to jump to.
Well, too late now. No, hopefully in the next month we will have another one of these dev streams. We're trying to have the dev streams when we actually have something interesting to talk about, because we're getting closer and closer to a more steady update cycle. We also don't have we have larger and more impactful news, so it makes less sense to just have a dev stream in which we have nothing to talk about and just, I mean, we can still have it, but we might as well be playing some video games and having fun in that case. But for actually content, we're gonna try to be more concise on the dev stream on that way. Not like me talking. I'm not concise. Thank you everybody for listening to me.
Stay foxy.